In the early 1990s, an influx of UFO sightings was reported near Brussels, Belgium. Over the course of 5 months, over 1,000 people reported seeing the same unidentified flying objects soaring through the skies. The phenomenon left the public baffled and researchers stumped. So today, we're discussing the Belgian UFO Wave. This is Red Web. Welcome back, Task Force, to another episode of Red Web, the podcast all about unsolved mysteries, true crime, and of course, a large dash of the unknown. I am your resident mystery enthusiast, Trevor Collins, and joining me with his love of aliens, hearing this case for the very first time, Alfredo Diaz.
I mean, I've talked about this before, you know what I mean? You go, love of aliens. Sounds kind of weird, Fredo, like what you into? I'm like, look, UFO looking like, you know, two plates together, a little upside down teacup. That thing lands next to you. All of a sudden, you know, Space Jam.
It's tea time.
The door opens. It's
Space
bright
Jam.
as hell. Stairs come down. Maybe I believe I could fly starts playing. We don't know. But alien comes out looking real thicked up, kind of humanoid like.
Listen, I think we're on the same page. We might be eating from the same plate.
People gonna be folding.
What? People
will be folding left and right. You know, at least give a little look around and be like, is anyone else here seeing this?
Is it just me?
It's just me, huh? Just me and my thoughts and this thicked up alien right in front of me.
Christian, I remember day vividly when this man looked at me sideways when I started talking about them thicked up aliens. But now it seems the virus has fully attached itself to his cerebellum.
And that's, you know, and people are like, here's the cure. And I'm like, nah, it's okay.
No, a cure? What are we fixing?
Can't be cured. No, we have the cure. Nah, I don't think it's right. That's fine.
Don't fix what ain't broken. I'm fine. I don't need that. Nobody needs that.
1,000 people seeing this is wild. What year are we talking again?
We are talking about 1989. So we have walked through many UFO cases before, a lot of them mid-century, 60s, even 70s.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, you know, our birth years. Are you 88?
I'm 89.
You're 89. I'm 90. It's right there at the turn of the decade right there. So 1989 and 1990.
Yeah. I don't think like drones were too big of a thing, or at least like to the masses, right? And so that's where my mind initially went. And so now I'm thinking like, okay, what kind of military thing was flying around during the time possibly?
Oh, we're going to crack into it all, man.
Yeah, something like that. But for 1,000 people to see it, you got to have some sense of relief when you text a friend and be like, did you happen to see? And they're like, I saw it. And it's like, oh, thank God I'm not by myself here. You know what I mean? And if the town needs to get shut down or just Belgium needs to get shut down, go like, you're with a lot of people, right? You're not like this one person that saw something and then you're the only solo one running from the government. Was it like Eagle Eyes or something like that?
Oh, yeah. When like a sentient AI starts guiding Shia LaBeouf through some copious amounts of spy stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there's definitely a security in being like, I'm not the only one. When you see the thicked up thighs and you start looking around, everyone's going, you see the eyes dropping. You're like, oh, not just me.
Yeah, just me.
Not just me.
Or that's when you wish you were the only one. And you go, come after me, government. You can't stop me.
Nobody can stop this.
Not quick enough.
They look strong, those thighs. Let's not get into it, Trevor. Okay, so as we do with a lot of UFO episodes, it does feel like the answers are always dancing around the same answers, right? We always go to the military. We always go to what sort of illusions, what's happening in the zeitgeist. I say illusions like atmospheric, events. Or we talk about fakeries.
True. I mean, like Loch Ness Monster, right? That was debunked. It was like this little boat thingy, that famous picture.
Yeah, like a little stick in the mud or something like that. It's just a stick floating along. But a hoax, that's the word I was looking for. But what's really interesting about this case in particular, I feel like I cracked the code on something. We're going to talk about those theories because every time we go through those same lenses, we always learn something different. It always depends on the unique story at hand. But man, I feel like I cracked into something here that might help answer for a lot of these UFO mania moments. A lot of these waves of massive amounts of people seeing UFOs and then it disappearing. I mean, heck, a year ago, we had the Jersey drone situation where not even just in Jersey, but around the country, even around the world, people were just seeing drones ad nauseum, and then suddenly it just kind of stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always, I think, something psychologically underneath it all. I always love to kind of approach it that way. But yeah, the Belgian UFO wave, we'll dive into it. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. There's a lot going on still in Red Web down in the HQ. Last Friday, if you want to go check it out right now, we did a movie club for Frankenstein 2025, a beautiful film, gothic horror by Guillermo del Toro. Fredo walks us through the plot, but of course we fill it with our thoughts, our opinions, our feelings. There's a lot to crack into. Gorgeous film.
Yeah, it's always a good time because our discussion changes the way we feel about the film in some way, shape, or form every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
So Task Force, if we ever enlighten you, or you guys enlighten us sometimes with the comments, and you feel changed in your opinion of a movie, let us know after you listen to a movie club. And then this Friday, as we do every month, we are publishing our December live stream of our variety show known as Break Room. Every single month, we live stream on Discord exclusively for Task Force members. What's going on in our lives? Sometimes we're talking about games. Sometimes we're playing games. Sometimes we're doing a tier list. We're doing all sorts of stuff in Break Room. It's still evolving. But with that said, let's dive into the UFO mania. I'm obsessed with it. They're coming for us. They got big thighs. Okay, so the Belgian UFO wave, it refers to, as I've kind of implied, an influx of UFO sightings, and it's generally accepted to be between November of 1989 and April of 1990, and of course in Belgium. Now, this whole spree has two major events on either side of that timeline, with dozens of smaller sightings throughout that. Now, each of those smaller sightings are a little bit harder to pin down. They're a little bit more anecdotal. So today we're really going to crack into the leading event and what is kind of considered to be one of the final events as these UFO sightings kind of trickled off, because there's the most detail around them. They have police officers and citizens alike all seeing something. There's a lot of documentation around them. And yeah, now it's ultimately unclear how many sightings happened during this entire 7 or 6 month spree.
Jesus.
So yeah. So of course, that's why I really want to lean on what we actually know, because the numbers, the more you look at these resources, the numbers waver from we know at least 1,000 people, but I've seen people say 5,000 plus people, like a 5x change in the numbers.
Right.
And so I want to stick to what we can really be certain about before we assess our theories, you know?
I mean, that's a lot of people, and that's ongoing for a long time. Oh man, I don't know, like where my mind leads to that. Is it like a military base close by and they were just constantly running experiments for 6 months? Or was it, I mean, if it was aliens, they're just openly surveillancing us for half a year?
Yeah, they're just kicking it in our atmosphere going, well, what's going on down there?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely off the chain.
It's really interesting. And this one gets extra interesting in the theories, especially this particular case. So it all kicked off on November 29th, 1989. And I don't know if it's the same thing or not, but the Jersey drones kind of kicked off in a similar time frame, but they dwindled by end of January. So that does give you some idea of how long, this did really last. It was quite some time. So on the night of November 29th, 1989, this wave started in a place called Eupen, Belgium. Now, there are several pronunciations of this city. I see the common one being Eupen. There's German, Dutch, and French in this country. I don't know how you all keep it straight. I'm envious of your polyglottony, but here I am with English and broken French as my second.
And I can't even do English that well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so Eupen is a relatively small city. It's located in the eastern parts of Belgium, and if you want a really clear idea, it's less than 10 miles from the German border. So that's kind of where we're at. And while the exact time is also unclear, we know that that night there were 2 police officers. You have Heinrich Nicol and Hubert von Montagny, and they noticed a strange object flying around in the sky as all of these stories kind of begin. They radioed their dispatcher almost immediately, Albert Kreutz, and they reported what they saw. The pair noted that their attention was drawn to a field that was brightly lit up, almost like you would see, Fredo, with an intramural field. A soccer game going on, a football game going on, and the bright lights are up.
Yep.
It's kind of like how they described it, except instead of it coming from lights, the light was emanating from this object, maybe seemingly floating low in the sky at that point.
Interesting.
Now, they said this object was shaped like a triangle with a large light in each corner of the object, and it was blinking and glowing orange. There was a light right in the middle, kind of glowing, maybe pulsing a little bit. So Kreutz noted this down in his nightly report, so we have hard documentation of it, but otherwise he didn't really think much about it. He's receiving this call, he's not seeing it, but he is noting it down. In fact, the pair of officers and himself kind of joked that, hey, given the season, maybe Santa Claus was coming earlier and was trying to find a place to land his sleigh. They even joked about that. But intrigued by what it could be, and though I do appreciate this about the officers, Nicole and Montigny actually began to follow the object as best they could in their car. And they noted that the object was dead silent. It moved with no noise as it moved through the sky. In fact, in an interview, Nicole noted, quote, "We could see it clearly because the headlights were very strong. We could also see the flickering orange ball underneath. We were driving very slowly because it seemed like there was someone in that object, and that somebody was trying to observe what was happening on Earth." So the pair continued to follow this object, and I'll continue on with Nicole's quote from this same interview here, but I do want to give pause and kind of reflect on the fact that he might be imbibing some of his own bias into the story at the gate, right?
Okay, yeah.
Unless he's saying he's seeing somebody, which he doesn't ever report, I have to almost remove the part where he's like, it's like there's somebody in it observing Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, already you're seeing a mysterious object and ascribing aliens from far away to it. And maybe it is that, but for the sake of really analyzing what's happening, I almost have to remove it, you know?
There's not enough evidence for you to stretch that far into assumptions. Very interesting, though, orange ball at the bottom. That's different compared to a lot of other UFO descriptors we've had.
And we do have a photo of this object. I'll give you air quotes photo. I'm going to hold it for the theories, specifically because of what we eventually know about this photo.
Got it.
But I think it's pretty simple to picture. Triangle, lights on each corner, orange ball in the middle. And I will say, to give credit and maybe play devil's advocate for Nicole, he might be talking about how the object is floating around. And if it were like a helicopter where it would be moving slowly and floating in place, maybe that is what gave him the idea of something observing. Because, yeah, maybe that's what he was trying to say. It's driving very slowly.
Right, kind of hovering maybe.
Yeah. So I'll take it from that kind of standpoint. But he goes on to say this, quote, "We continued to observe the object as it circled over the city of Eupen. It appeared to be heading toward the forest. On each side of the object, there was a kind of laser beam and a ball that was leaving the object and coming back as if the ball were to measure something. So it was easy for us to keep track of it in the sky." End quote. It's hard to visualize, but it won't be the only person that describes lasers kind of coming out and coming back into the object.
See, I like that because of the fact that, like, especially if it's people in different locations having the same shared image, and especially if these interviews are locked in before a lot of the details hit the media, then you can take it with a little bit of weight, right? Whether it's aliens or not aliens, there's something else. You can start to put some weight and belief into the fact that these people all saw something, and then they all saw something in a specific way.
Right. You can corroborate their stories.
Mm-hmm.
They're all matching up identities and details.
Right.
Without, being primed by the media. And at this point, it is very private. It is only within the confines of the police radio. And of course, there's someone somewhere who's got a police scanner and is probably hearing it. But otherwise, it did stay pretty low-key for at least some time.
Okay.
Now, as the night rolls on a little bit, we get to a point where dispatcher Kreutz is actually now able to see what his colleagues are talking about. And he notes what he saw. He says he sees a bright light or a bright object in the sky, and it looked like it had laser beams shooting out and coming back into it. So, who knows? Maybe his colleagues reported to him on this, and so he was ready to see it, or maybe it's just validating what was seen that night. Either way, it is a unique detail we haven't seen in any other case. Kreutz then contacts 4 local airports. I love this move. In an attempt to identify what exactly they were seeing that night.
I love that.
I love that element. However, none of these airports reported seeing any unusual activity, and with difficulty, I was asking Kat, is there any way we can find out who or what these airports were? And she was unable to identify them because I wanted to know if they were in what should have been eyesight, then you need to say like, okay, they either didn't want to validate these sightings because they either maybe knew something, or two, they just didn't see it. And why didn't they see it if they were in eyesight? Because they have air traffic controllers. They should be on the lookout. And on the other hand, if they're farther away, maybe they just couldn't physically see it, and therefore you don't get any reports. That's what I kind of wanted to figure out.
That's true. There's a lot of like interesting thought there. And also it could be a testament to the possible technology that the aircraft has.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, we don't have the technology, or at least, you know, someone like air towers don't have that technology on hand.
Sure. Like they couldn't see it with their eyes, but also their radar, which goes further, maybe also couldn't see it, kind of thing.
And so that's a, you know, testament to like the possible technology that is far beyond our means.
Yeah, possibly.
But you'd assume they'd have that influx because of the fact, like, if you're able to travel across the galaxy and the universe to visit somebody else, you got technology and an abundance of it, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because of what I know comes in the kind of big end sighting.
Oh, okay.
But I want you to hold on to that feeling because the fact that we didn't hear from those airports could go one of two ways, in my opinion, depending on how close those airports were. That's just, and we don't have that information, or at least not readily available. So I'm going to come back to the two police officers. They're continuing to watch this object for upwards of like 30 or more minutes. So they're really on it. It's not like a really quick sighting. They're continuing to follow it until something even more unusual happens. That is, another spacecraft seemed to appear. It had the same triangle shape with 3 very large lights at each of the points. This time, though, the object was tilted. So normally, like you said, 2 plates and an upturned cup, just like floating parallel to the ground. This one was kind of canted. I don't know if it was fully sideways, but it was at least tilted slightly. And they were able to then see the top of this object, which is kind of uncommon. We don't see them floating around like that in a lot of these reports. And so looking at the top, they saw what they described as a dome. And maybe that's your classic upturned teacup. Maybe that's where the pilot is sitting in theory. However, they reported that by the time they realized what they were looking at, the object had already flown away. So in this moment, it was so brief, they really couldn't even process it. There was a second one that showed up tilted, almost like it knew they saw it, and then it bolted.
Signs of intelligence.
A little bit, potentially. And then shortly after that, right, they see this canted wood come in, they see the dome on top, and they go, uppity, it's gone. Kreutz then looks out his window, which is open, and I can't remember just how close he is to these officers, but not very, and floating about 500 feet away from his open window, he says he saw the large ship floating in front of him for what he said was maybe a few seconds before then heading in the direction of La Calamine, and La Calamine is just 8 miles north of Eupen, so another way to say it headed north and out of sight. I find it so fascinating because if you want to take it at face value, you have a man that becomes aware of this and almost like whatever this thing is knew and then goes to appear in front of him before then leaving. Why would it do that? Or is this starting to bring up the theory of being primed because you know to look for something?
Man, I mean, if he was being primed though, that's just such a big, you know what I mean? Usually it's like you're primed and it's like maybe you heard a subtle sound and you're thinking it's a ghost, but really it's 50 different noises, insects, trees, the wind, etc. All a combination of them. Being primed and then seeing that is a little extreme.
It's tough. I mean, confirmation bias is a hell of a drug, but at the same time, when you're seeing a big triangle with lights on it, that's a hard thing to see and then misinterpret as something else. Like 3 lights in the sky, it's hard to have that randomly.
Yeah, it's hard to, especially if you're primed. Usually it's like something else is actually there and it's priming you to see something else or hearing something else. But I mean, to see 3 lights like that and then suddenly gone, yeah, it's, I don't know, it's hard to think. Maybe, I don't know, a car or something. I don't know. Like,
and if his window is open, there's no play on the glass with light reflection. So then it moves away, right?
Yeah, then it moves away.
And then what's interesting is that they're not the only 3, right? And so I'm keeping it localized to the 3 of them, but later on, there were 2 more police officers that reported seeing the same object in the sky above them. Originally, they said on record that they thought it must be an American aircraft. I don't know why they said American in particular, but maybe by this point in time, given the 60s and 70s and the unveiling of amazing craft like the SR-71, one of my favorites, they know that the American military has a proclivity to make crafts of all shapes and sizes. So maybe that's why. Now, all of these sightings occurred within 1 hour of one another, and 11 more police officers eventually would report seeing these large unidentified flying objects, as well as 100 or so citizens. So we have 16 total officers and nearly 100 citizens clearly seeing something that night. It doesn't mean we know what it was, but something is being seen because this hasn't hit the media yet.
That's a lot of people. And we're still developing the story in the episode, but it's also just like, man, for that many people to see something and then for it to kind of, as of right now, feel like it's like dismissed or not really truly acknowledged is wild to me. You know what I mean?
It is wild.
But that's just the power of like a government or, you know, people with money, etc. To just be like, yeah, 1,000 people that all saw something. They're just going to disregard that.
Just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
I'm glad you felt that, because when we looked at it, it is kind of unclear if a formal investigation was ever conducted to evaluate what was flying in the skies that night. And of course, we'll talk at length about these ideas when we get to the theories officially. We're kind of trickling them out as we have them now, but this does bring into mind the idea of a top secret military event or test or anything, because if that is what's happening, then yeah, there's going to be a lack of a public investigation, because what are they going to do? Look incompetent? We investigated ourselves, but found it was top secret and don't want to tell you.
Right.
So like, it is kind of like, I'll just say it again, the Jersey drone situation, only in recent memory, is because like the government was talking about it. There were hearings about it, and it felt like it was going somewhere. And then ultimately, I feel like nothing ever came out of it, and then it just disappeared. And by the way, while I'm here, a little shout out to ourselves from a year ago, if you want. redwebpod.com. On our Patreon, we did a bonus episode discussing the Jersey drones, pictures, theories, and all. If you want to go and enjoy that, that's back in our library in the bonus playlist.
This episode of Red Web is sponsored by Factor. New year, big goals, no time to cook? Factor makes it easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, so you can eat well without the shopping or cooking. What goes inside of a Factor meal? Quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. Factor has meals that fit your goals and schedule with healthier eating, calorie management, more protein. Speaking of protein, I'm trying to be a little more healthy in 2026, and I have had plenty of Factor meals. One that sticks out to me is the roasted garlic chicken with gravy, chive, Yukon mash, and green beans. It was delicious. Factor has a variety of 100 rotating weekly meals. Options include, again, things like high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and ready-to-eat salads. Plus, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery. Factor is the king of convenience with always fresh, never frozen meals, ready in about 2 minutes, no prep, no stress. I absolutely love how easy and quick it is to make a Factor meal. You get it, you stick it in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes, and boom, you have a wonderful, delicious meal. And I'm talking about delicious. This food is good, ready to go, little to no time. Head to factormeals.com/redweb50off and use code redweb50off to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. This episode of Red Web is sponsored by Rocket Money. What is the most ridiculous subscription or hidden fee you've discovered you were paying for? Has it happened to you more than once? Because it's happened to me more than once, and I am not proud of it. But that's where I can use Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has tracked subscriptions, and it has the ability to cancel within the app with a few taps, saving time and avoiding charges. Rocket Money allows you to set budgets and goals, get personalized insights and regular reports, and receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, refunds, and low balances. It does it all. I could definitely use Rocket Money. I would love just help getting an oversight of my finances and especially tracking, again, those pesky little subscriptions or hidden fees that, you sign up for something, You intend to cancel it after a month and you forget. Rocket Money's there to help you keep that under control. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/redweb. That's rocketmoney.com/redweb. rocketmoney.com/redweb.
But again, yeah, no formal investigation. Local airports didn't report on this. And so again, I'm like, is this an extremely localized incident? What does that tell us about the possibility of theories? Are these airports being quiet? Do I want to be cynical about that?
True.
And is there something to hide? You know, that gives the idea of other theories.
It's also just hard to hide that there's just so many more people that are involved.
Right. It is really hard to hide, especially when you're flying over. It's not a huge city. It's not a tiny city. I mean, it's small. I think maybe 20,000 people a few years ago, if I remember.
So, I mean, you're hiding it from a lot of people.
Yeah. All right. So this is when we flash forward again. A lot of anecdotal stories and eyewitness accounts happen. Very small kind of bullet point items throughout this timeline. Can't confirm or deny most of them. So these happen over a few months. And now, on the night of March 30th, 1990, it happens again. Several witnesses reported seeing the same large triangular-shaped objects with blinding lights on the corners. This time it was around 11 p.m. A supervisor at the Belgium Control and Reporting Center received information on these sightings. The Control and Reporting Center is a Belgian Air Force hub, and it has round-the-clock airspace surveillance. So you can imagine they got all the bells and whistles to see what's going on in the airspace. Gotta love it when the tech comes to play to get that evidence.
Yes.
Now, the center itself is located in Glon, which is about 100 kilometers or 62 miles east of Brussels, and they detected these unidentified flying objects on the radar. So that, I think, is also very interesting. A lot of the times we see, it's invisible to the radars and technologies. We got a ping. We got a hard ping on this radar, and you can see the movements on the radar, which kind of match what the witnesses on the ground are seeing, which I think is wild. And apparently, these objects were moving erratically, rapidly changing altitudes and speeds by eyewitness accounts. So in response, the Belgian Air Force actually deployed 2 of their F-16 fighter jets from the Beauvais Air Force Base, and they went out to go find this flying object.
Okay, we like this. We like the usage of resources to dig deeper into this.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the escalation. You know, you never want to escalate if you don't have to, but I love the fact that they're like, let's get up in there. We're going to find it if it is it. And we're going to figure it out.
There's no subtle way to like send jets up there, you know?
That's true. That's true.
It's got to be escalated a little bit in some way, shape, or form, which I mean, I'm okay with.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're not coming out guns blazing. Calm down, Trevor. It's more like the thing is fast and it's agile, so they need something fast and agile. So, according to reports, the jets were ordered to engage with the objects if necessary. Hence the kind of escalation. I was getting ahead of myself, but you know, if they feel the need, blast these puppies out of the sky.
Right.
Now, throughout the next hour, the jets attempted to follow this unidentified flying object. Some reports claim that the pilots were able to visualize the object, but there are also reports that dispute this claim, saying that the pilots were never able to make contact with this object. And so, which am I inclined to believe? I don't know. Quit reporting on falsities.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the muddiness of the waters, you know?
Yeah. Now, some claims, which haven't been verified, we gotta be honest out here, we're not gonna be part of the escalation of truth here, but some of these claims that haven't been verified state that the object moves so rapidly and so erratically that a human pilot would probably not survive the maneuvers, for reasons of people saying, hey, I saw the object go from about 7 feet off the ground to 10,000 feet off the ground in just a few seconds. That level of acceleration would pancake you with G-forces. Others say that the object rapidly accelerated to over 1,000 miles an hour. Now, a human can go 1,000 miles an hour, but you can't go like 0 to 1,000 in 6 seconds without going from solid to jelly in about 6 seconds.
Right. You got to build up to it, work up to it.
Yeah. You might need a heck of a neck brace for that.
Right. Yeah. I was about to say, like your body would snap out of the force of it.
Right. You get like getting punched by Frankenstein. I saw that at the beginning of the movie. That was like a man's back snapped backwards.
It just went, I went, whoa!
Yeah, I was like, he's still standing.
He's just kind of just in a U shape now. Upright. That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to these F-16 jets, they reportedly tried to close in on the object 9 separate times over this hour, but each time they seemingly approached what they saw on the radar, right? They knew an object must have been there. They're approaching. This object was able to escape, and they must have used rapid maneuvers or some other way to just evaporate. There's also the idea of maybe cloning, cloaking, or atmospheric interference. In past episodes, we have talked about how atmospheric events, by science that I'm unqualified to break down, would basically create radar pings.
Okay.
Either way, every time they approached, it would be gone. And now, an hour and a half later, it's around 12:30 a.m., the sightings of the object on radar decreased significantly, and then the pilots returned back to base by 1 a.m. So whatever it was happening in a spree of like an hour to an hour and a half, and then it kind of just dwindled off. Whether the objects left or whether there was something else happening, it was no longer happening in this area at least. From here, we so far only have the reportings from the Control and Reporting Center, but now after that, it's been reported that police officers also sent in their reports from the nearby town of Wavre to confirm these sightings. They too saw something that night. Interestingly though, they described what they saw as having 4 lights and being in a square formation. This is the first time I've ever heard square. Usually it's either like a bird formation, like a V pattern, a triangle, or a circle. So now we got a square. And they said each of these lights was reportedly making quick and jerky movements, almost, in my opinion, almost as if they were 4 separate lights and they were just kind of flying near each other in a formation. Now, what's interesting is that around 1:30 a.m., according to these police officers, the lights gradually lost their luminosity and then departed in different directions. So this kind of corroborates with what the center was seeing on radar.
What is the point of that? Like, to come together and then exchange information? Even then, like, why would you need to come together? Because you probably just have the technology to hail each ship?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
I don't think about it. Like, if you could traverse galaxies, universes, you could phone someone else on another ship.
Right. E.T. phone his friend.
It doesn't have to be like within a close proximity to exchange conversation, I would think.
Yeah, it's really interesting because no matter how I slice it, except for one theory that I'm kind of eager to talk about, no matter how I look at it through all the theories, it's hard to make sense of this particular moment. 4 lights coming together, rattling around a little bit, and then fading as they also leave in different directions. And what's interesting is, you know, we're talking about triangles up into this point. They also reported seeing one of these lights. So maybe one of these is a unique one, an odd one out. One of these lights had a stick of some sort attached to it with what they described as a turbine coming out. So that would be like a wind turbine, several blades. And I'm thinking, like, if it's moving rapidly and it's nighttime, it would be really hard to see that that is a rotary blade, that is some sort of turbine.
Right.
If it wasn't moving at all, I'm questioning the purpose. I'm really confused by what they're seeing, but I'm also intrigued. A lot of people, though, they were like combining with the low engine noise and this kind of stick with a turbine on it. People were thinking, is this a helicopter? It could be. But I mean, helicopters aren't dead silent, that's for sure, unless they're high enough, but like...
I explain the hovering, but like, not the speed, not...
Evading F-16 jets?
Right. I don't think... They're not as fast as...
No. Unless they're like hiding in the clouds and, I don't know, being like Jean Jacket.
Helicopters just aren't built that way.
No. So, I don't know, these last couple details are so interesting because I've never really heard them before. I'm struggling to really wrap my head around them through the traditional lens of, you know, your hoax, military, or otherwise like mass psychogenic illness theories, right? But it is interesting. So Task Force, if you have some other thoughts that we don't cover by the end of this episode, please comment, let us know. I love the theories you guys bring to our Discord in the comments. But moving forward here, it seemed like by this point, news had spread of these sightings. Hence, like, all the witnesses that have come forward in between these two moments. But of course, once news spread of this particular sighting, it became itself a sensation. Some reports state that in response to the public interest, Belgian authorities created what they called the Belgian Society for the Study of Space Phenomena. And this task force reportedly included scientists, military personnel, as well as researchers who then analyzed the data and collected civilian testimonies. We've seen that in the United States.
Yep.
And we will probably talk more about it as we cover cases like this across Europe and the world. It makes sense. If you don't know what it is, you might as well start poking. By 1991, the task force had documented, by the way, over 1,000 sightings during this particular UFO wave. You can imagine why we only covered the two main ones. They published a report that stated the sightings were genuine and could not be explained by hoaxes, natural occurrences, or conventional aircraft.
Interesting.
Now, there's still people with a lot of information and data, but it could be flawed, there could be mistakes, and even we've seen in the crime world, when we do true crime episodes, DNA evidence changed the game through the course of the 90s into the turn of the century. And so new technologies, new understandings of the world, the atmosphere, and unconventional aircraft could certainly change retroactively their opinions, I imagine. But that was their kind of closing thoughts there in 1991.
I mean, you have that many people. Really, how much investigating can you do, right? Going off of the word of people, you might have some evidence on sightings, people you can rely on, like the towers and stuff, but it's all still going to be unexplainable maneuvers and motions and things that they saw. You know, it's like, oh, it came into a square pattern and then it dissipated and all went off. It's like, jot that down. I don't know what we're going to do with that. Like, right. It's important, but like,
put that down.
Right? Like, that's the thing. It's like, jot it down and hopefully we do something with it later.
Right.
No clue.
Right. If you and I walked out tomorrow and we saw just a bona fide UFO kiss our domes, an alien could come down and gently squeeze our heads with its thighs, its multiple 14-legged thighs, we could have all the stories in the world.
Yes, we could.
And someone would go, jot that down.
Yeah.
Period. What else do you do?
What else do you do? Exactly. There's just, I don't know, man. That information hopefully comes into play at some point in time, but you can't do anything off of that.
Right.
You need more.
You need more.
And you can get a bunch of different information like that. 100 different little pieces of information. Not even little, that's kind of, substantial, but like, how do you, unless you really get something tangible or like, what can you do, right? Visually or first contact or whatever it may be. It's all just theories and just like eyewitness accounts at this point.
And it can always start almost like a reverse pyramid scheme, just for the sake of the visual, with one person truly seeing something or even misunderstanding something as being whatever it is, an object, a thing, whatever. And then everybody else after that could lie, could make it up, could also see something, you never know. And so suddenly, really, all of these stories serve to validate the original source. And that original source is the only thing that can really be scrutinized in the sense of validity or like a hoax or just a misunderstanding. It's really hard without the tangible evidence. And with that, I did tease this earlier, so I want to mention it. There is an infamous photo that goes along with it. And despite like the thousands of Belgian UFO Wave witnesses, there is only one photograph that was ever captured that showed what has been mutually understood as an accurate depiction of what they saw that night. So go ahead and take a look at this first image I have for you.
Oh, it just looked like a fire dancer, right?
It does.
It looks like on the left side there's a log. It looks like this is at like, I don't know, the height level of 6 feet.
Yeah.
There is a orange light in the middle, and then there are 3 other lights like a triangle like we described, and those lights are more in motion than the orange light in the middle, which just seems more like a static light.
Yeah.
And it's literally like if you see the fire dancers and they twirl, you know what I mean? The fire around, it has, they're on the different sticks that span out.
I mean, you would know. You've dabbled.
Yeah, I did some hula. And so it just looks just like that. It looks like someone just took a picture of someone fire dancing and the background was just too dark to catch them.
The exposure was too low.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that I can see that.
I saw
That's so funny.
Fire dancer.
Instantly, especially that light on the right side where it really looks like there's some motion blur for the spin.
It's just a motion with fire going on. Yeah.
Absolutely. What stands out to me, though, for my first time seeing it, is I'm looking for what I want to see, right? That triangle, those lights, the UFO. What's really interesting is that 89, 90, we're seeing a photo in the dark that's got a lot more detail than even modern day photos of the sky.
Yes.
This has to be either a really good camera or a hoax, right? Because there's detail in the dark. That's very hard to do without a high ISO. If you're gonna have a high ISO on your camera, you're gonna have a lot of noise, which is gonna disturb the image. So if you're talking like a modern digital Sony camera, it's got you. But in 89, 90, those details just stood out to me.
Yeah, I get that.
And there's a reason why. Before we get to the reason why it stood out and so intriguing, this photo has a couple different release dates. It's a little unclear, as is a lot of things with unsolved cases. Some say April 1990 is when this photo was revealed. Others say somewhere around July or August of 1990. Either way, of course, it quickly captured the attention of the public. And the photo was anonymously released, attracting attention, but also suspicion about its legitimacy. I feel validated retroactively because I think it's almost too clear, right? I'm so burned by all the photos that are just muddy in this like digital day and age. But this particular photo became known as the petit-rechain, which is actually an area just to the west of Eupen. So maybe that's why it has this name. I think it's like a 19-minute drive. But this photo was examined by NASA, examined by the French National Center for Scientific Research, as well as the Belgian Royal Military Academy. No outlet could find any evidence that this photo was doctored, which is very interesting. A lot of these highbrow research facilities are basically saying, like, we have no reason to believe this is a fake. This, for all intents and purposes, looks like a photo of what people saw that night.
Right.
In fact, the Belgian Society for the Study of Space Phenomena claimed that this photo was genuine for 20 years. However, the other shoe drops. On July 26, 2011, a man named petit-rechain came forward as the photographer responsible for this photo. He appeared on a Belgian talk show and revealed that he had forged the photo to fool his co-workers and then released it anonymously to the world.
What?
He explained that he took a piece of styrofoam, shaped it into a triangle, then painted it black, and then embedded flashlights in each of the corners to get the desired effect. However, despite his confession, some still believe that the photo could be real, and that mostly rests on the fact that he doesn't offer evidence to prove that he faked it. It is, at the end of the day, a claim against a claim, but many skeptics go, okay, at least the photo is throw-outable. So,
I mean, that's interesting to just be like, yeah, you know what? It wasn't real. I just kind of just put this stuff together. And then, of course, people will probably be like, well, what if like the government got to him and then forced him to make up a story? But also, it's like, how many years later? Why would the government? It doesn't matter at that point.
Sure.
You know, it's just so. It's not like the world's banging at the doorstep to find, you know what I mean, the truth here.
Right. The year is 2011, and people gotta know.
They gotta know, man. And so I think that I think he's telling the truth. I think, you know what? It's just a hoax. I put this together. And then it really caught fire. And here I am way later letting you know that it's not real.
Yeah, it's like on the 21-year anniversary of the photo coming out, essentially. And anyway, anyone could have just said, I did it. And then you're kind of begging for the actual photographer to come disprove me.
True.
Come say you did it. Put your name on the assignment. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's why I didn't want to lead with the photo, but it is what kind of hampers this case so much is that, yeah, there's a lot of unique detail. There's a lot of hard record of people seeing things, but there isn't, like the Lubbock lights are very interesting because a lot of highly esteemed researchers, scientists, professors, right? We're seeing this. There are some photos, are they hoaxes or not? That was also part of the episode, but like there's at least more going on there, whereas this has almost no visuals. And so you're right. It kind of goes back to jot it down and we'll see.
Yeah.
Now, this leads us to one of the common theories we talk about in UFOology and in UFO cases. So I won't belabor the point, but Kat included an excerpt from Philip Klass that I thought was really interesting. And so I think it adds a little bit more breadth to this theory. And then this is where my gears start turning. And so instead of giving the theory as we normally give it, because I don't want to, repeat what we've said in the past in other episodes, I think something clicked in my brain that broadens this theory a little bit and takes it beyond just the realm of mass psychogenic illness, or historically known as mass hysteria. But let's talk about that for a second. Many believe that what happened there in Belgium for those months was exactly that, a case of mass psychogenic illness. Philip Klass, who is an aerospace and aviation journalist and actually a noted UFO skeptic, published in his book in 1983, before the events of the Belgian UFO Wave. The book is titled UFOs, The Public Deceived, and in it he explains how media coverage can sometimes play a role in what people think they see. And so you and I have talked about this through our own layman's terms and what have you, but I want to kind of quote him here. He says, quote, "Once news coverage leads the public to believe that UFOs may be in the vicinity, there are numerous natural and man-made objects which, especially when seen at night, can take on unusual characteristics in the mind of hopeful viewers. Their UFO reports in turn add to the mass excitement, which encourages still more observers to watch for UFOs. This situation feeds upon itself until such a time as the media lose interest in the subjects, and then the flap quickly runs out of steam." Now this, in doing the research, is what really got me thinking about the Jersey drones, hence why I've kind of brought it back throughout this episode. And that's because in recent memory, that's kind of exactly what happened. We talked about it nonstop, so everyone's looking up. We're seeing more drones, and anyone can fly a drone, so people start flying more drones.
100%.
And then eventually we're just like, all right, I think we all kind of agree it's not anything, or nothing new is happening, and so what's the next big thing to happen?
I completely agree. I think it's just, it feeds into itself, and in the same way where if you watch a scary movie that night, you feel like you hear some things, maybe you see some things in the darkness, you're more alert because you're primed for it.
Right.
In the same sense too, it's like, oh, I just bought myself a Prius, and so you're just like, now I see Priuses everywhere. I bought myself a car that's red, now I see red cars everywhere, because you're primed to catch it. And not necessarily just like, oh, there's an influx of Prius purchases this month. You know what I mean?
you led the trend.
Yeah, you led the trend, and now everyone's got one. No, it's just you're primed for it, and so you're more likely to be more aware of it, and that's just kind of where it is. And for better or for worse, that ends up happening too with just cases like this. And so not necessarily that people are just trying. Yeah, you do have the people that are like, I want to say I saw something, or I want to say that my story is better, and so I'm going to add stuff to it. But it's just people just being like, I believe that I saw this, even though they're just primed for it and they didn't really see anything. So,
right. I mean, I had to double check because I wanted to make sure, but it is in fact called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, where once you are told something is there, for example, in this case, you might be inclined to see it. Just like you said with cars, you're going to see that car all of a sudden because you're looking for it. Or in the case of the actual phenomenon, you learned something and suddenly what you learned, you see applicable everywhere.
Right.
Now, in this case, it's a little bit more colorful because, in this case, people are maybe made to believe that a UFO is in the vicinity, and therefore they're looking a little extra hard, maybe wanting to see it, maybe not wanting to see it out of fear, but then they mistake things like normal atmospheric phenomenon as a UFO, maybe military aircraft as a UFO. In fact, while we're here, I want to give a tangent. I should have noted down the Redditor's name, but there was a Redditor in the discussions of this topic that brought the idea of light pillars to the table. I didn't do a whole lot of research into light pillars other than to see that they are atmospheric optical phenomenons. Quoting Wikipedia here, it is to say, the effect is created by the reflection of light from tiny ice crystals that are suspended in the atmosphere or that compose high-altitude clouds. And you can look up some pictures of them, but basically they are various colors, spears or spikes of light that go up into the sky. You don't see them very often, but what I do have for you, Fredo, and we'll try to include from Aaron Brigatti on YouTube, they are essentially filming from underneath them. And the reason why I wanted to bring this video up, again, thank you to the Redditor for kind of bringing this video to the table, is because atmosphere, temperature, pressure, moisture can all change very quickly. The atmospheric air is a fluid, and this phenomenon, light pillars and other things, are unique combinations of all of that. And so they can change rapidly. It's not like there's just a static spear of light in the sky.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It seems like the cloud and light is like moving rapidly, which is so weird. And then some, like right now, just like at 43 seconds in, it looks like the cloud just goes poof and then fades, and it's very weird.
Now take a look at the beginning again before it all kicks off and look closely. I am going to prime you. I didn't see this until it like clicked with me, but there are 3 dots within the
triangle,
the area of what you're looking at. Yeah. 3 lights, which do make a triangle.
Yeah, I do see that triangle, and I see 2 of the lights for sure. I saw it. Oh, no. Yeah, above that, it's like 3. It's like 2 triangles. One that's just like a triangle of a cloud, and the other one is just like 3 dots.
Yeah. And then as it kind of warps, it's almost like...
kind of like poof, poof.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
It's almost like a clockwork chemistry reaction. If you've ever seen those where a fluid goes clear, and then dark black, and then clear, and then dark black.
Interesting.
The sky is moving, and so you're seeing these light pillars from underneath, and it can create the illusion of rapidly moving aircraft or something else, something physical, right? So anyway, a little tangent of a mini theory there, but coming back, the main wrinkle for the idea of mass psychogenic illness, the main wrinkle, is that it doesn't explain the military involvement or the radar data. I don't know if light pillars can be seen on radar. I know some atmospheric pressure-oriented phenomenon can. Just the pressure differential can create a way for the radar signal to reflect back. But before we move into the final theory, this is where I kind of wanted to highlight an observation I had while researching this case, but also researching over the 5.5 years now, so many different UFO cases. To me, there's a very interesting correlation between massive events in the fabric of society and politics and the influx in reports of unidentified aerial phenomenon. Good examples include the end of World War II, or in this case, the fall of the Berlin Wall, immediately preceded the events of this UFO wave, and not far away, because we're talking about Belgium, and we are coming to the end of the Cold War. And so yes, of course, there are many UFO events, localized and massive, that have happened all throughout time, but when you really pull back, if you had a heat map, they're greatly associated with great changes, right? So clearly there's something, there's something to be said about the mass psychology during these times, right? I'm not wise enough to really percolate on that too much. It could lead one to conclude that, maybe there's contagious fears, contagious excitements about the powers greater than us that could be coming from other planets. But pragmatically, these are times when governments are also motivated more than ever to explore the edges of science in the search of a greater defense to avoid such events from recurring. Especially here in the United States, where you see massive amounts of money invested into the military-industrial complex, and you see the the space race. We went from not flying to the moon in like 60 or 70 years, and you see the advent of stealth technology and all of this stuff. And so this now kind of leads me into the discussion of military technology specifically, but I'm kind of noodling on the idea that there might be something much more homogeneous, combining both the psychology of different time periods, but also the fact that, practically in these moments, the military is probably investigating new technology because it is such a tense moment. The end of World War II. What can we do to not have this again? It's the end of the Cold War, where we almost annihilate the whole planet with nukes. How do we not do this again? What technology can we use to do it?
That's a good point. And I mean, especially because history has shown that there's a spike in this, right, after these big events.
Yeah, at least that's what I'm noticing, right?
And so at that point, it's like, okay, there's something there. What could it possibly be? Also, if you think deeper into it, it's like, we got the people out there already. We got the bases, the resources. They're all set up. We could break everything down or spend some months or a year or two just doing some extra research, some extra R&D. So that way we don't have to waste money on setting it up and doing that later down the line. It's already there. But the people are deployed. Scientists are there. Military's there. Officers, whatnot. we got our resources there. Let's just take the time, wind down from a war and do some research.
So I can see it from the investment side of the military, and I can also see it psychologically from people in a time where you feel helpless, or in a time where there's greater escalation of powers on the planet. You almost have this God hand moment where you're like, well, there must be something greater, whether it be religious or something where you're looking for a greater power or threat from outside the planet. It's so baked into those moments of time. You have the Great War, the war to end all wars, and it doesn't. You have the Second World War, which is insane. And so and then you're in the mid-century when UFO sightings really kind of come onto the map. There's some before that, but the mid-century is when they really pop off. And then you have, of course, the top secret investigation into them and what have you. So I feel like it's all cohesive.
This episode of Red Web is sponsored by BetterHelp. The new year is an opportunity, but you don't need to be a new person. Everybody has things that weigh them down, and signing up for therapy with BetterHelp can shine a light on what's been heavy and illuminate all the possibilities for the year ahead. It's a small act of courage that can yield big results. After all, you can't reach your goals without first making space for them. Therapy is a great way to gain an unbiased perspective on your life and can play a key role in leaving behind what's been heavy so you can focus on the future. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the US. And BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. And if you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recommendations. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, having served over 5 million people globally. You can't step into a lighter version of yourself without leaving behind what's been weighing you down. Therapy can help you clear space. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/redweb. That's betterhelp.com/redweb.
But yeah, because of that, some believe that what people witnessed was the case of advanced military technology. It does make a lot of sense.
A lot of sense.
It's a common theory. We've talked about it in UFO sightings, and especially if you're talking about experimental aircraft that, we've always talked about in this podcast. There are tests happening on aircraft now that someday down the line will be unveiled. But right now, maybe it's flying around in secret, or maybe doing missions, maybe just flying.
Yeah, and we're like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
If you go to the military, if you go to Apple, if you go to, hell, it doesn't even have to be the government, right? You go to Apple, you go to Disney, they have got a room somewhere with technology that will just blow your damn mind.
Right. Guarded by Walt Disney's frozen head.
Yeah, right by his frozen head.
But you're right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're working on stuff that we're just going to sit here and go, what is that? Oh my goodness. And so, yeah, no. And they're not even like the military, you know what I mean? They're just companies with a lot of money.
Yeah. And if you catch a glimpse of it, you say, I saw something. Did you see that? And you talk to like somebody that knows, and they go, I don't know, man. That's
right.
The gaslighting.
And it was, there's videos now that are, it's like one of the Disneyland theme parks. They have a little Olaf that like walks around, and he's fully like animatronic. It's not but the way he moves and reacts and everything, you think it is like an actual person in a suit. It's not though.
Okay, I got to look this up. Oh, I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Disneyland Paris.
Yep. The Olaf robot.
That's wild.
It seems like a dude, it's like there's a dude in there, but there's not. It's just a robot in there.
It kind of looks AI.
It does kind of look AI.
But then the guy pops his nose off.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is weird. Disney is definitely up to some crazy animatronic stuff. I mean, I thought BB-8 was wild.
Yeah.
And that's relatively simple in the grand scheme of things. But you're right. I mean, there are corporate and military secrets all over the world. It doesn't just have to be governments. And yeah, they'll trickle them out when the time is right. And you brought up drones earlier. And so while we're talking about this, it could be maybe this was like when drones were strictly a military device. It wasn't consumer grade yet. And so it was mostly a top secret project before then it kind of trickles down into the commercial level, into commerce, and we buy it. And then we have toys. Now we film movies with them.
Yes, we do.
But it had to be surveillance before that, or espionage rather.
Oh, 100%. 100%. The government was like, this is our top thing. Look at this. We could take a little camera and just makes a little zzz noise and we fly it around. And now it's
take
like,
a drone up 150 feet, you're not going to hear it.
Right, exactly. And now kids are getting it for Christmas.
You know what? And if you have a tiny little drone, and then Christmas comes and then the Jersey drone thing all over again. I'll bring it up one last time.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. You take a drone up and you lose relation to other objects in the sky. You might start thinking that's a big thing when it's a small thing and it's silent and it's steady. But then a drone at 200 feet might look like a large object because of an optical illusion. And so when it jerks to the side just a couple of feet,
right,
you might be seeing it move miles if you thought it was higher up.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit of a parallax effect, but you don't have anything to relate it to, like the size. Like when you see a rock on the moon, you have no idea how far away it is or how big the rock is. No. I love that.
Yeah.
I also hate it. It's kind of weird, but
it is a little weird. But still, though, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, distance plays with your perception, or like depth perception and everything. And so you're sitting here thinking something is large when it's not, or vice versa, and it moves fast when really it's just at a distance. Like, it plays with you.
Absolutely. So this is where I want to mention the pretty obvious elephant in the room. There are a lot of now since declassified aircraft that are very triangular in shape. And that's kind of where we left it. But this is where I dusted off the old diploma and I started looking into aircraft in particular, because I'm like, there was something in my brain. I knew it was sitting in there during this time frame where, I remember the B-2 being so new when I was younger. And so I looked into it, and interestingly, these sightings, November 1989, April 1990, occur almost exactly a year after the United States public disclosure of both the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber and the F-117 Nighthawk. If you need, I do have photos of both of those for you. They are gorgeous planes.
Beautiful planes. Jesus.
The B-2 is a flying wing. It's very unstable. And there's only, I think, like 24 of them or 21 of them that were ever made. Between these two aircraft, there's less than 100. I'll just put it that way.
Wow.
It's like 60-something Nighthawks.
Damn, those are sick.
They're so cool, and they're very triangular, and they're black, and they're stealth, and so at night, there's no way to see them. Now, I looked at the light patterns underneath, and they don't necessarily have big, obvious spotlights on the bottom of them, because that would be the opposite of their mission. But who knows if a prototype did or did not have those. It could answer for a lot of triangular-shaped UFOs seen throughout the United States itself. So what's further interesting is, a year before this, 1988 November, both of these were publicly disclosed, but these sightings were also just a few months after the B-2's first public flight, and it was nearly concurrent to the F-117's first operating mission, which was during the invasion of Panama in 1989. So there's a lot happening during this time period. These planes are absolutely active in the world. I couldn't really logic my way into a reason for them to be here at this time, other than the Berlin Wall had just come down like 3 weeks prior to that first sighting. Not necessarily very close. It's on the other side of Germany, but it is a border to Germany. So it could just be high altitude surveillance. I would say a U-2 would be doing that, but I don't know. I'm just saying we are in a hot time period for aircraft to be declassified and be flying around.
Yeah, see, oh man, that's the thing where it's like certain things line up and you just go, is it coincidence?
Right. I don't think this means anything in particular. I can only just point out the coincidences of them, the timeline of them going public, being used, and then mixed with the novelty of their shape and their form. It's kind of worth highlighting.
It definitely is worth highlighting for sure. You just never know, sure, it's like somewhere else, but even then, who's to say they're not trying to do a distance test or whatever? Like, even, these planes are running all kinds of tests, right? And distance is going to be one of them.
You are not wrong.
How far can you go? How far and how fast? Like, does the technology fall off or whatever? And so could lead you to be in a different state, different country, etc. real quick.
Yep. And just because, by the way, they're active in one part of the world doesn't mean they're all there at all. At all. Right now, they're all scattered. I mean, usually they're not. They kind of like consolidate to a few places. But yeah, so like just because they're active in one part of the world doesn't necessarily mean they couldn't be also in Europe. I'm just trying to like logic my way in there with like publicly available knowledge. But what's interesting too is while looking into these particular aircraft, I did see, and I don't know if I was fully aware of this at any given time, because it's essentially a myth. There's really nothing else to go off of, but it's the rumored Aurora aircraft was something that kind of kept coming up. But essentially, it's a speculated aircraft that was being supposedly tested in the mid-1980s. The idea here was that this was a stealth surveillance aircraft that was being tested in hopes of replacing the pretty old, especially now, old SR-71 Blackbird.
But it's not like an official thing?
It's not an official thing. Nothing has ever come out about it. It's really just a myth. I mean, there are other aircraft that look like it. The Aurora aircraft was speculated to be triangular, hence why it's kind of coming up around this topic. But there are other aircraft that have since either been prototyped or have been talked about being studied or have since come out, scramjets, ramjets, and other kind of interesting, more advanced technology kind of aircraft, but nothing as far as I am aware of for the Aurora aircraft. And the SR-71 Blackbird, I don't think has been retired, but it was unveiled in the 60s. And so I could understand why people in the 80s would be like, it needs a replacement.
Right.
32 were built, first flight December 64, introduction date January 66. Oh yes, retired. Totally retired. And listen, it's my favorite ship, it's my favorite plane. It forever flies the skies, but it was all retired pre-2000 by the US Air Force and then NASA in 99. Man, what a beautiful aircraft that was. The kind of aircraft that leaks fuel when it's on the ground level, so that way when it gets up to speed at supersonic levels and it gets hot and the metal expands, it's properly fitted. Come on.
So sick.
Being an engineer in the 50s or 60s must have been something else. That's a superpower of brain right there.
That's so sick.
Okay, well, that kind of closes us out on the advanced military technology. Ultimately, right, the Belgian UFO wave is considered one of the most fascinating cases in history. And again, it's got some unique details around it. It offered a little bit more of a unique lens into the common theories we always talk about. But otherwise, to this day, a true answer for what was in the skies that night remains speculation.
Which is wild because 1,000 up to 5,000 people possibly have seen.
Depending on where you look, yeah.
And it's just like, no, nothing to see here.
Nothing. And especially,
that's wild.
Especially when the military gets involved and they start going like, we're going to look into this. But then as soon as it falls out of the news cycle, they're going, oh, thank God. Because like, if it is military, you're caught either looking irresponsible, that you're not going to investigate things, that you're putting your people at risk, that you're going to spread fear in that way.
Yeah.
Or two, you have to look incompetent, right? Like,
yes.
Oh, I don't know. We looked into it and I don't know. Because you can't tell the truth. So you either look into it or you don't. And there's no winning.
Damn.
I don't know what you do. I don't know. I don't have the answers.
I don't know what you do. You just kind of it's stuck. Because you also have these vivid like descriptions of things from multiple people. And it's like, no, nothing to see here. It's like, oh, there is something. It doesn't necessarily have to be, aliens.
Yeah.
But there's something.
But there's something. The default answer is we don't know. Not aliens, not military. But boy, do we always want to know. Hence why there's always theories. Maybe, maybe we do know. And maybe the military is keeping those aliens to themselves.
There was the urge. I sensed it.
I'm like, how many times can I beat this dead horse? Okay, well, Task Force, thank you all so much. I should have said it at the top of the episode, but now that we're an hour and some odd minutes in, I do want to say Happy New Year. I hope the new year and the holidays have been wonderful to you. I hope you guys have a prosperous and healthy and happy new year. I hope this year brings so much joy to you, whatever it is. It's a time of change, a time of self-manifesting, whatever it is that you want out of life. I hope you get after it. And truly, thank you for allowing us to be part of that new year and continuing to listen to us. Or if you're new, welcome. We get weird sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
We're going to get to the bottom of things, no matter what that means.
But again, thank you so much for the love and support. We're here because of you guys, and we'll never stop harping on that because that's how it is. You know, without you, we don't exist. So,
yeah, truly.
thank you.
So if you got any, gift cards burning a hole in your pocket or any last minute after the hour gifts, go to redwebpod.com where you can sign up, support us directly for as little as $5 a month and get all sorts of weekly exclusive bonuses for you. You also get the podcast ad free, and you can also gift that to anybody else in your life. And if you want the free gift that keeps on giving to us, go ahead and chuck us a review. It really does help.
Yep.
I know that people say that all the time, but it does. The platforms all see it, and so they go, oh, people like this.
Yes,
and it
they
helps
do.
with trending and things. So, and before we end, I want to give some shout outs. We have 2 new squonks that have been kicking around, but because we recorded so much in advance, we haven't had a chance to shout them out. So, shout out to Wolf472 and James Hill. Thank you so much for joining us at the squonk tier. But of course, we also have Madison Hintmeyer, who is our newest task force member. We have Lisa Jacobson representing the buff scientists, and Broman and Andy Schrock bringing up the rear as our consistent squonks. This time, just of the week. We got squonks every week. Thank you all so much. And Fredo, I'll see you right back here next Monday for yet another mystery.